welcome to my first video. As my channel description says, I'm going to explain to you various concepts of psychology, and it's gonna be most helpful to Cambridge International AS A-level students. And but the concepts that we discuss here can be used by other psychology students as well, but we are going to follow the 9990 syllabus of Cambridge International AS in this particular video. So this video is going to explain to you the experiment, and part 2 is going to give you a critical evaluation of this experiment. So let's get started. We're starting with the first experiment, and it comes under the biological approach in psychology, and it is on brain scans and emotions. And you can find the original paper to this experiment under the name Events-related activation in human amygdala associates with later memory for individual emotional experience. It's by Canli et al. And it was published in 2000, the year 2000, right? So it is available online. You can probably use your Google Scholar search engine in order to get this this PDF file. It's a downloadable file, and you can get it from the source. And I always suggest that you go with the original paper, because it doesn't matter what is said in your textbook. You will get a lot more information when you actually read the paper, and it is going to be a really good experience for you when you pursue your higher studies in psychology. All right, now let's move on. So before you start the experiment, there are a few things that you should know about your brain. There is a part of brain which is called the limbic system, and the limbic system is considered to be the most primitive part of your brain, and it is supposed to guide all your survival instincts, right? And amygdala is one small part of your limbic system right here. So it is having two main functions, right? It has a lot of functions, but the two main functions that this experiment is interested in is that, one, it is important part when it comes to, it plays an important part when it comes to your emotional responses, and also plays an important part when it comes to attaching your emotional context to your memories, right? So it basically means that emotions that are strong would stick to your brain. That's all that it means. The more intense your emotions are, the longer or the more chances that is there for it to stick in your brain. All right, so this is the context of the experiment that we are looking at. All right, so there have been a lot of brain imaging studies carried out before the year 2000, that is the year this experiment was published. And these experiments clearly showed that there is a relationship between amygdala and memory retrieval. There is no doubt in there. It is a previously established fact that there is. But what was special with this experiment? These researchers, they wanted to see if this is just due to some individual differences, or whether it was actually because of the within subject differences in activation of amygdala, right? So that was the main difference. And the aim of the experiment, there were two main aims to this experiment. One was to see whether whether amygdala is sensitive to varying degrees of individually experienced emotional intensity. And the second one is whether the degree of emotional intensity would that affect the role of amygdala in enhancing memory for emotional stimuli. So what does that even mean, right? They just wanted to see whether, depending on the emotional intensity of the stimuli that is present to them, will there be a difference in activation in your brain? Okay, that was the first one. They wanted to see whether the emotional intensity, if there is a difference in emotional intensity of stimuli that is present to them, would there be a difference in activation of brain? Now, the second one, they also wanted to see how far this differences in activation would affect memory retrieval, right? So they just wanted to see the correlation. So what did they do to actually find out the brain activity? They used FMRI, which is functional magnetic resonance imaging. Yeah, so they used this method in order to record brain activities. And while they recorded it, they showed participants pictures of varying emotional intensities. Okay, so how did they manage to do this? They used something called International Affective Picture System Stimuli Set. So this is an already established tool which was published by Lang and Greenwald in 1993. Okay, so what was special about these pictures or these scenes that they showed? They could be measured in terms of both valence and also in terms of arousal. Valence would be the goodness of the picture, how good it makes you feel, right? And also in terms of arousal. They made sure that the valence range of these selected pictures, these 96 pictures that they selected, was between 1.17 and 5.44. 5.44 being the highest score, and 1.17 will be the least valent, the picture with the least valence. And the same goes with arousal. They pick pictures within a range of 1.97 to 7.63. 7.63 being the highly arousing picture, and 1.97 being like the tranquil picture. Now, who did they use for their experiment? They made sure that they used 10 healthy right-handed females. And they also made sure that certain things remained same for all these 10 female participants. They all were shown 96 scenes, and all these scenes were randomized to the participants. And they also made sure that each scene was shown for about 2.88 seconds, and also they made sure that there was a gap of 12.96 seconds in between each scenes as well. And participants were shown these scenes for the whole of 2.88 seconds, and which was replaced by a fixation cross. They were given 4 buttons after this. After seeing the scene, they were given 4 buttons which to indicate how emotionally aroused they felt. And they could measure it between 0 to 3, a range of 0 to 3. That is 0 being least emotionally sensitive, and 3 being highly emotionally sensitive picture. Okay, so this is how they did. This is how they measured brain activity. This is how they manipulated emotional intensity of the that is experienced by the participant. Now, 3 weeks later, there was a follow-up test to this. It was a recognition test which happened in a laboratory. All scenes from the test before, that is those 96 scenes, along with 48 new scenes which were called as foils, were introduced, and these were shown to the participants, and these foils were picked up with same intensity or same valence and arousal as the pictures that they showed before in the other experiment, right? As in the other tests that they did. So, which means that all the scenes are the same or similar. There is no differences. It's all controlled. The emotional intensity is controlled there. Now, what they did is that after showing these scenes, they were asked to identify whether they have seen it before, and they categorized these into three. If they felt that they have certainly seen it, they would categorize it as remembered trial, and if they feel that they're not really certain but they think they know, then it was categorized as familiar trial, and if they think they don't know if they have seen it before or they have forgotten, it was written as forgotten stimuli. All right, so remembered trial was coded as 3, familiar trial was coded as 2, and forgotten trial was coded as 1. So this is how they categorized retrieval, memory retrieval, right? Now, what do they find? They found that subject ratings of emotional intensity, it definitely reflected equally well the balance and arousal characteristics of the stimuli. They also found that the amygdala activation was significantly correlated with high ratings of individually experienced emotional intensity, right? So these are the results, and this is the final part of our video. The next video would discuss the critical implications, and we would evaluate this experiment in terms of both methodology and ethical criteria. And we would add on more information to this experiment in the coming video. Thank you for watching. Bye.